So in today's lesson, we will look at speaking as an interactive process. Interactive means communicative when there is an exchange of information between the speaker and the listener. So there are certain features that a speaker should learn while to be effective in speech. The first is the aspects of connected speech. So what is connected speech? So also in an academic setting, learners are introduced to a well-organized, rule-driven utterances in target language. In a real-life setting, they would sound quite differently. So as it was said, students in an academic setting at schools, institutions, learn to construct sentences grammatically with following some grammatical rules. But in the real life, so it can be quite different, and not each word is pronounced separately. For example, to illustrate, the following sentence can be compared in terms of representation in a real-life communication and the way it looks in a textbook. So it says, for example, if the dialect has this kind of question-answer responses, could you tell me the deadline, please? Sorry, I don't know it. Otherwise, I would have told you. So this is how it would sound in an academic classroom environment. However, in real life, it would be quite different, such as, could you tell me the deadline, please? Sorry, I don't know. Um, Otherwise, I would have told you. So you see, in real life, the speaker wouldn't say, I would have told you, but it would be something like, I would have told you. So this is the features of connected speech that a student is supposed to learn before practicing his own speaking skills. The next feature is suprasegmental features. This means suprasegmental feature denotes a feature of an utterance or a sentence other than the consonantal and vocalic components, for example in English, stress and intonation. So it's clear that rising and falling tones, stress of some parts of a sentence, slowing down or speeding out the speech. So using physical means such as gestures or facial expressions all contribute to the changes in the way the information is conveyed and comprehended. So the same piece of information, which is grammatically correct, can mean different things when used with different stress and intonation. So, for example, a sentence like uh, uh, we are ready for a walk. So when I say it with a simple intonation, we are ready for a walk means just the information that the person expresses his readiness to start the activity. But if I say the sentence like we are ready for the talk, we are ready for the walk. So here also affirmative sentence structure is used. The intonation means that the question is being asked, so which needs a further response to it. So students should be instructed that intonation and stress has a great impact on the sentence. So, and vocabulary and grammar. So there are certain phrases in English that are widely used in common everyday situations, such as greetings and all the varieties of greetings, such as good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hi, and hello. Agreeings, which is yes, no, obviously, definitely, no, in no way, or expressing shock or surprise, such as wow, well, approving or disapproving. Yeah. So although these phrases seem a piece of cake for a language expert, a teacher should make sure that students are aware of them and are able to utilize these phrases at various stages of interaction. So deliberation language. So this means there are a variety of ways to make one's speech more structured and hence easier to follow. Likewise, there are means of clarifying the received speech too. Both serve to make communication more effective. So phrases like first of all, secondly, or however, in contrast, or for example, so I use it in the speech to signify that certain type of information is coming next. Like first point, second point, something is being enumerated. In contrast, some opposite information is being presented. Or when we say to illustrate, or for example, it means we are going to prove our previous sentence with the help of examples. So these signposting words or these markers help the listeners to follow our speech. So this means the speaker should be well aware of them as well. Likewise, if we are communicating with a person and some points we couldn't understand, so there are phrases which help us to clarify them, such as, could you repeat please? Could you pronounce or could you say the same thing but a bit slower? Or could you clarify what does something means? So these phrases help to make the communication more effective. So this was some linguistic features which students should master before being effective speakers. And now there are psychological factors, the ways of processing information that also influence effectiveness of communication. So the first is linguistic competence. This means in order to communicate with someone, a person should have linguistic knowledge that should be able to use grammar flexibly, tenses, all those linking verbs, should use words appropriately in the speech. Yeah. So this is the first necessity, requirement to communicate in the target language, but it's not enough actually. So then a person should have a good pragmatic and social linguistic competence, which means that a person should think of how different sentences could have different meanings in different situations, and how one sentence acceptable for one culture could be quite unacceptable for another. For example, a sentence, I will be back in 5 minutes, has different meaning for American people for whom time is money and they would expect a person to come within 5 minutes, exactly 5 minutes, while for an Uzbek it would mean something from 10 to 20 minutes. So while saying something, the speaker should take into consideration these cultural aspects. Um, or for example, if you're in a formal occasion, you would never start the meeting with a greeting like "Hey guys." Yes, phrases like "Dear uh, gentlemen and women," or "Dear guests," or "Dear audience." So more formal phrases are used. While meeting with your friends, you wouldn't say "Dear friends" or colleagues. You would use phrases like "guys," "friends," or just refer to them with their names. So having all this in mind also influences your communication, either helps it to make successful or to fail. Then strategic competence. This means there are some situations when you have to clarify yourself, and but some words skip your mind. Well, you could forget some words or simply don't know those words in the target language. And this means you should use other ways of introducing that information. And there are several ways to express your idea without the reference of that actual unfamiliar word. For example, the first solution would be to paraphrase it. For example, if you need a microwave oven in the shop, but you don't know how to name it, so you could describe it as an electronic device to heat food quickly. So that's why the listener would understand you better. If there is an item nearby you can, or you possess a photo of it, you can just point out to it and say like, I need this thing or I need that thing. So, and this is applicable only if you have that thing just nearby. So, and using gestures and mimics could be another substitute for the lack of linguistic item. But this is a bit difficult one because again different gestures and movements could mean different in different cultures, so the speaker should be very careful. But basically there are these three main strategies to develop strategic competence and overcome those difficult situations in real life situations. So there are several activities that could be used for speaking to make it more effective and more interactive in nature. The first is acting from a script. So students are asked to act scenes from plays and course books. Students write their dialogues, arrange roles, and come to the front of the room to act them out. So this activity has certain advantages. So this activity is both learning language and practicing it. It provides multisensory style of learning as it activates mind, body, senses, and emotions. It provides cooperation in the group. It provides a mask for shy students to act more freely. However, there are challenges. So shy students might experience discomfort to act in front of the group, and in this case, the teacher should try to create supportive atmosphere and not call shy students first. Discussion activities. So for these activities, the action of process of talking about something in order to reach a discussion or to exchange ideas happens. So discussion can be organized in a number of ways, such as formal debates, discussion of issues to reach a decision or solution of a problem, or expressing opinions on a photograph or any topic. So advantages of this activity is that such activities are rather engaging for students. Students receive different perspectives or opinions on an issue, or students try to come up with ideas from different perspectives. So there is a help at developing strategic competence. Students may develop tolerant and respectful attitude to each other. And when it comes to challenges, so some students feel embarrassed to give an opinion in front of the class. So a solution can be to let students first discuss their opinions in small groups. So some topics can trigger fierce controversy and negativity in the class. So in this case, a teacher should be careful to choose topics for discussion. Teacher may lose control over the students and they may end up quarreling. Therefore, prior to discussion, some rules for the process should be established. The next activity is prepare talks. So, an individual student or a group of students make up a presentation on some topic and then present it in the class. So there are the following advantages of this activity. If well prepared, such practice can be informative for both the speaker and the listener. So as it requires preliminary preparation, students have a chance to develop a more academic and structured speech. Students use all four language skills in a naturally integrated way. Students develop autonomy in learning. However, there are possible challenges, such as students stumble through their long and formal written speech, fail to engage the rest of the class. Students may lack enough fluency for an effective oral presentation, hence teachers should make sure all necessary skills for oral presentation are taught. Long presentations can be time-consuming and lead to boredom. So, questionnaires. In this activity, students design questions on the assigned topic and conduct interviews on this questionnaire and present the results in the form of prepared talks. So advantages are that such activities motivate integration between students. They expose students to a number of ideas. Even shy students are motivated to participate. So when it comes to challenges, students can experience difficulties in interpreting answers. So some advice from an expert or guidelines should be provided. Communication can deviate from L2 towards L1. Yes, so students end up discussing those questions in their mother tongue. So teachers should make some preparation, preliminary preparation to avoid this. So these are the basic activities that can be used in a speaking class to make them more effective. And for the whole course, it's advisable for the teacher to vary activities and to show students that there are different occasions where they have to speak and that the speech can be practiced in a number of ways. But as I said, it's a burden on a teacher to organize these activities, to prepare necessary handouts and materials, to create a welcoming environment in the classroom so the students can express their ideas freely and enjoy the class. So, and then uh, as it was said above, the activity should be chosen according to the level of students, or teachers should make sure that certain linguistic aspects are taught prior to some speaking activities. So based on the skill that's needed for that certain activity, so a teacher can eliminate on the best practices. So that's all for today. Thank you for your attention.